Raj,
Yes.
what are you doing here?
I'm just visiting London.
This video is called The Impossible Journey because, many people sometimes in their life and their career, they feel stuck. And it's difficult sometimes to find the willingness or even the power, the strength to do the first step. And the first step is extremely important because when you do the first step and then you see that it's not that scary, you can do another one, then another one, and then slowly but steadily you start to take momentum and you start to move. And moving is the key aspect of any career growth, but also in life, to be honest. So today, I thought with a friend of mine to not talk only about career growth, because career growth is just a consequence of the action that you do during your life. We decided to be naked in front of you and in front of these microphones in order to share intimate stories on how we arrived to be where we are and be principal architect in AWS. But the reality is, no one is seeing what happened behind the scene. You are seeing basically now the big title, big brand, whatever. But I think it's important to understand that everyone can reach the level that they want. And that for me is the key takeaway of this episode. Today, with me, there is also Raj. Hi, Raj. How are you doing?
Good. How about you? I love the introduction. I'm very excited to talk about. Yeah, we're gonna go naked. I didn't read the terms and conditions before I agreed to do this podcast, but yes, we will bear it all. How our journey and everything.
Exactly. So, let's start to introduce ourselves because I think it's important to understand where we are now, and then we work backwards
Yeah.
towards where we started and explain all the issues that we have encountered in our career. So, do you want to start?
Sure. My name is Raj Saha. I'm a principal solutions architect working at AWS. Been at AWS for over 6 years, and I have helped many customers migrate world scale projects. So I say this joke that if you live in US, you have used one of the applications that I have designed. Okay. And I also speak at major conferences. I'm also a best-selling author, and I also teach other students. But like you said, 10 years back, if you said that, Raj, you'd be here, I said you're shitting me, right? And 20, 30, 40 years back, I had no idea where I would be. So yeah, it feels like a dream, and we're going to share the steps so your viewers can replicate it too.
Indeed. And I think it's important to share that. Let's introduce myself as well so everyone knows who we are. So my name is Luca. I'm a principal serverless specialist solution architect, the longest title of my life. But I work for AWS, and it's 4 years and a half I'm working there. In parallel, I'm creating content. I create communities. I'm super passionate about communities, and you will discover why during this session. I'm a published author with O'Reilly. I wrote 2 books, and the third one is upcoming at the end of the year. I have newsletters, and I run quite a few meetups and communities in London, in Italy. So I moved to London 12 years ago, almost 13. And it was a dream of mine, and now we're here, as you said. That this seems incredible, but it was part of a long journey, I would say.
Right.
So, shall we start with I don't know, talk us through, let's say, where did you start? So, where you're coming from, what is your background, even starting from the country you're coming from, because obviously, as you have done, as I have done, and as you have done, we moved from our home country to somewhere else.
Right. Yeah. So a lot of people don't know this. I'm sharing this first time. I grew up super poor at certain points. I come from India, if people cannot tell from my looks. Um, yeah. So at certain point, my mom and dad neither have jobs, and it was a very difficult time, right? So I know how to live like a poor. So an only way out was the education. So I studied like hell, and then I'm Indian. I went to my dad. So I said, Dad, what should I be? And my dad said, you could be anything you want between a doctor and an engineer. Okay,
A
so
lot of choice.
your choice, your choice. You have all the choice, right? So yeah, so I went into engineering because I genuinely like engineering.
Yeah.
Also, I'm probably not smart enough to be a doctor. Um, and then yeah, from there, but then I got into legacy technology because I did not go to college for computer science. I went for electronics and communications.
Nice.
So I actually joined a electronics company after I graduated from the engineering college, and I was doing induction motor and all that stuff. And they said, we're going to send you to Kenya. Okay, Kenya in Africa.
Wow.
And then my friends who graduated from the same college but from computer science, they said, Raj, I'm going to America next week. Okay, and another one said, I'm going to France next week. I'm like, okay, as bad as it sounds, I'm like, Kenya sounds cool, but I want to go to America and Europe. Also, they were getting a lot more money as well. So then I gave an interview, but because I did not have a computer science background, I got into mainframe, and then I was consulting for JP Morgan Chase through the company, and JP Morgan Chase really liked me. So then I came to US around 20 years back. So that's how I came to
Wow.
US.
For me, it is different. So I don't go too back, but I was working. I was living in Italy. In Padua is like a city near Venice, and there at 16 years old, I thought the school was a waste of time. Wrongly so, but I decided to leave the school. Let's say that my parents weren't too happy. I had, let's say, a very hard time at home for a few years.
Yeah.
And there, basically, I started to work straight away in a factory, and I didn't know anything. I didn't know what to do in my life, but I knew that I was studying because I had to study, not because I wanted to study. And even at that time, I knew that if I like doing something, like at the time I was playing football a lot, or soccer in US, and there basically that's something that I loved it. I spent like 10 hours per week playing football, and I was really bad, but I loved that. So and therefore I had a lot of fun there. But I remember the first few years when I was working there, basically, I lost all my friends because the moment I basically cut off with the school, they immediately turned their back to me. So it was quite tough for me because, at 16 years, you're still forming, you're trying to figure out how the things are panning out, but you don't have anyone, not at home, not outside home. And in the factory, I met a couple of good people where they helped me a bit that period, were obviously more grown up than me, like 35, 40 years old. And I remember vividly one day when I was 17, where this guy came to me with a massive book. It was like 500 pages. And I looked at the book and said, Luca, have you ever seen this stuff? I said, what is it? Like, it's a book. I said, no, this is a book on HTML 4.1. I said, what's HTML 4.1? And then he brought me to basically his computer, and they showed me basically if you're writing code, you can show something visually inside the browser. I said, I'm gonna. So you're writing stuff, some code, and that displays something inside the browser that everyone can see. I said, yeah, of course. So this is super mega cool. I want to know more. So he gave me basically he lent me the book. I wasn't an avid reader back in the days because vast majority of the time I was exposed to school books. But I have to say that book was the first on tech, was written in Italian, translated in Italian, and we will touch that point later on. Translated in Italian, and I basically read 500 pages in 2 weeks. My mother could believe it that, because how is it possible you didn't read like 2 pages of a chapter for school, and you read 500 pages on complicated stuff?
Skipping soccer.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I was insane. So that was for me the moment where everything triggered, and I knew it was like the classic thing that shaped completely your life. And I started to say, this is something that I really love. Like, this is something that I can live on.
Mm,
But it was too early back in the days, so that was the main challenge. And then fast forward a few years, I created my own company, and I worked first as employee, but then I created my own company, and then I moved to UK, and now I work in some very cool companies here in UK. I love London. It was quite fun,
mm,
but I think the key moment where everything started to take
mhm,
shape was that, and we will go more in deep about that part.
mm.
But first of all, tell me a bit about your background. So you have like a very let's say a tough life at the beginning
Mm.
because how you picture the
Right.
situation. It wasn't, oh, yes, Raj will be at Cambridge University or
Right,
something like
right.
that.
Yeah.
So you have to compete with quite a lot of people. And I think competition is one of the first challenges that people has because they think, oh, am I good enough for doing this thing? Or will I succeed? And what happens if I'm not? So I think some of those questions bubbles in your head at least once.
100%. Generally, Southeast Asian people are very competitive because of the dynamics. Around 50% of the folks in India don't have well-paying jobs,
Mm,
right? So, and then it's funny in US, every only thing that's published are the grades, right? But in India, when I was studying, they will publish your actual number. Like, let's say the math exam is at 100, they will say, Raj, you got 90.5,
mm,
and Rahul, who is your neighbor, got 91.5. So he's ahead of you,
mm.
right? So it's intense competition.
Okay.
So when the exams are done, everyone's grades, like along with the marks, are posted. And in your mind, you know there is not enough for everyone, which is good and bad. Good as in you know how to go through tough times, you know how to persevere, right? But the bad thing, then you kind of develop the scarcity mindset.
Yeah.
Then nothing is enough. So even when you make it, it doesn't feel like you make it. But going back to my journey, so one thing I figured out because of my upbringing, that I am not a genius, but I can make it up by working harder. Okay, so and I say the same thing to the students, right? A passionate fool can beat a distracted genius, right? If you are a genius, but you cannot do one thing with discipline and you are constantly going from one thing to another, any average person who is dedicated to it will beat you.
Yeah.
Okay, so people always tell me, Raj, why are you such a tryhard?
Yeah.
Okay, you are always studying this that, but they didn't know that that's my only way out,
Mm,
right? I mean, literally, I lived in a house where the roof caved in, and we did not have money to move out from that house, right? So I knew that's my only chance. So competition, that part was good. So then I got into the legacy mainframe, right? And then in the beginning I'm like, this is great, right? Because I was not expecting that kind of money,
mm.
because in electrical and electronics, especially in the companies in India where you were fixing like induction furnace or induction motor, they don't pay you that much because there is not much money. But yeah, competition is good. That's also, and we can talk more on that as we talk about the actual journey. Like, it's like you learn by trial, okay? Because I have been through so many trials and error. I'm very comfortable trying something new
Mm,
because it's fine for me to fail, because I believe that a master has failed more times than the beginner has even tried.
mm.
Okay, so I'm like, yeah, bring it on, you know? And then also, like, I'll show you some pictures and stuff afterwards. Like, I was a skinny little guy, right? And then I started going to gym, and all this happened. My gym journey started happening mid 30s.
Mm,
So I'm always late, and I'm fine taking my time.
mm.
You know, I think it's a foolish myth from the marketing agencies that life is short,
Yeah.
right? You gotta do this right now. I think life is long. Our careers are long, and even if you don't want to go balls to the walls, you want to take your time, as long as you are moving in the right direction, that's all matters, right? So yeah, so talking about that, so I believe competition can do good things, that allows you to try new things, as well as your fear of failure goes away.
Yeah,
What's your take? Yeah.
I agree, but I think also the interesting thing that probably it happens with competition
Hmm.
is having that moment of like, oh, I'm an imposter. The imposter syndrome kicks in
True.
more often than not, and I think for everyone, I think that is the main challenge that sometimes people are stuck in where they are because the problem is, okay, but am I good or am I good enough for doing that?
Mm.
I believe that is a myth that we need to bust in
Mm.
somehow.
Hmm.
Because the reality, think about that. I had like several time the idea of, oh yeah, I will never make it,
Right.
especially at the beginning, because I don't have a degree, I didn't study university, and I don't have like a formal education.
Hmm.
And the only thing you said something that is very aligned with me, that is, hard worker always beat, let's say, talented people.
Right.
That for me is my belief since the beginning, because
Hmm.
otherwise I wouldn't make it at all.
Right.
You cannot really think that everything will come, let's say, overnight for sure.
Hmm.
So discipline is the other thing that for me is super important, because
No,
without that you cannot do much.
100%. Like, I feel like habit beats motivation,
Yeah.
right? Like, even when if you're trying to go to gym or trying to learn a new technology, if you wait till you feel like doing it, you'll never do it because these things are hard,
Yes.
right? Going to gym, getting crushed under like hundreds of pounds when you are squatting, or you are trying to learn something out of your comfort zone, it will never feel easy. And I feel like you have to just keep doing it. I have a saying, but I don't say it. I wanted to have it on my wall, but I could not. It goes like this. It's stolen from someone else who I
Yeah.
admire. It says, your mood, follow the plan.
Yeah.
Okay, so it doesn't matter if you wake up feeling shitty, you must do the stuff, and then you will get into it. Like often, I'll end working and I'll be like, oh, I'm too tired to go to the gym.
Yeah.
I'm not feeling like it. But more times than not, if I push myself to go to the gym and then I start working out and then I get into the mood and it changes my whole evening. Then I come home, I spend time with my family, and now I'm energized. Then I record something, talk to my students. So I definitely believe in discipline plus roadmap is equals to success.
Absolutely. There is one thing that I read recently. I think it
Hmm.
was last year, early last year, about feel good productivity book.
Yeah.
This is a book that I highly recommend to everyone. That is exactly explaining this problem.
Hmm.
So procrastination and
Hmm.
people that are stuck with starting something.
Yeah.
And there is this rule of five where basically the author is describing this idea of you start for 5 minutes top,
Yep.
not a second more.
Yeah.
And you just, let's say, set the alarm on your phone and say, okay, I do for 5 minutes this thing.
Hmm.
When you arrive to 5 minutes, you start to enter in the momentum, because it's 5 minutes for our brain. You basically trick our brain. So 5 minutes is nothing. So you start to do that. And then slowly but steadily,
Hmm.
you say, okay, I stop. And that moment that you stop, something kicks in
Hmm.
you. And it happened to me a couple of times where you say, oh, I could go ahead for another hour to do this stuff
Right.
because now I'm in the momentum. But people often they stop before that 5 minutes or
Hmm.
few minutes. For me, the interesting part here, that is one thing that we need to highlight more often than not, is exactly this thing.
Yeah.
Everyone has maybe more than once per day that moment that they feel stuck,
Yep.
and we need to find way to anyway move slowly
Hmm.
but move. Another trick that I always use when there are admin stuff, when they ask us, okay, can you update Salesforce, or can
Yeah.
you do this, or you need to do I don't know, the expenses. And it's super annoying because you know that it will take like 30 minutes. And it's not, in the grand scheme of things, it's nothing. But still, 30 minutes is annoying because
Right.
maybe you want to do something else.
Right.
So my trick is, especially with the admin stuff, I split it in multiple days. So
Mm.
instead of doing 30 minutes, 1 hour, whatever it is, in one go, I do like 10 minutes today, 10 minutes tomorrow, and 10 minutes the other, and squeezing in into other tasks that I like. So I know that I don't know, I'm coding. After a while, inevitably, you take a break, and then you go. I go downstairs to grab an espresso, and then come back and say, okay, before I start again, I do that. I do these 10 minutes, and that for me enables me to accomplish so much that in other ways I couldn't, because I feel stuck. And those are kind of tricks that I usually use when we do these things.
Yeah, no, that is super cool. So I'll talk about little tactical things. Okay,
Yeah.
so let's say when I was trying to change my career from mainframe to the cloud, I had to learn the cloud. A lot of the time, people make this mistake that they chew on too much without breaking it down to small, actionable chunks.
Yes.
Right. So the way to achieve anything is you have to think about first principle thinking, where you break down a big system like the way we architects think into smaller Legos. Okay, so if you're trying to learn, let's say, cloud, you have to break it down to compute, network, storage, for example,
Yeah.
and security. Then you start with compute and you say, okay, in compute, I'm going to do EC2, Lambda, and let's say, I don't know, ECS. Okay. And then you say, okay, for EC2, I'm going to spend 2 weeks. First week, I'm going to learn the theory, then I'm going to do hands on. After the 2 weeks, if I am able to do that, I'm going to reward myself with my favorite drink or my trip to my favorite coffee shop or something, right? So that gives a dopamine boost. And that's exactly how like fighter plane pilots are trained, right? Once you achieve something, they give a reward and that solidifies it, and you want to get that again. So then 2 weeks goes, then you give yourself another reward. And after you finish these 4 big components, you give yourself a bigger reward, right? Maybe buy the jeans that you wanted to, or buy the fancy cap that you are wearing, right?
Yeah.
So that's how you go. And before you know it, you're going to build up a significant body of work. Most of the people quit because they don't break it down.
Yeah.
And they will say, I'm going to learn Kubernetes and I'm going to be a master in Kubernetes in 1 month.
Yeah.
Listen, no one, even Kelsey Hightower, can be a master in Kubernetes in 1 month, right? So you have to take the same approach. You have to break it down. And then after you achieve these small milestones, you have to reward yourself. So that's how I handle tasks. Now, Salesforce is always annoying
For everyone.
for everyone. So I like to use we know when we are most productive.
Yeah.
Okay. So I am most productive in the late morning after I have my espresso and stuff, and in the afternoon and late night. Right. So I do not waste those times on those admin
stuff,
tasks. Right. So I always eat the frog to say, right. I do the hard stuff during those time, and then I do the admin stuff when I'm not that productive.
There is one thing that I started to do last year that it helped me a lot, and many other people after seeing the video I made on Second Brain started to do that. That is the idea of having, instead of the classic bulletin journal that is, no, I can't say it's complicated, but it will require a bit of knowledge on all the symbols and other stuff. I literally have like 1 or 2 goals maximum per day. Where, yes, obviously you have more every time, but the idea is I have 1 or 2 things that is my focus. That is the thing that I need to nail it no matter what. And then at the end of the day, I do highlights and lowlights. And very often, we forget to cheer up for small things.
Right.
And instead, when we're talking about dopamine, it's exactly that thing. So you need to understand that during the day there are some small things that you accomplished, but you are not thinking that are important enough because you don't reach a milestone. But no matter what is a step towards that. And I think too often, as you said, the splitting in Lego bricks, we are intimidated by the task. But when we reach that point, and I usually do that, for instance, for code, I always explain that example. So for code, for me, is like, okay, so I need to create, I don't know, a Lambda function that, I don't know, query database and that stuff. In reality, creating an API with servers is easy, but I don't think holistically about that. I start to say, okay, so first thing, probably I need to understand how the API looks like. Then I know that I need to parse the API. Then I decide, okay, so what kind of API I'm doing? I need to decouple the environment from the business logic, or I can write something fast, stuff like that. And this logic, I start to apply iteratively. step by step. And that for me is the way that I usually think about coding, think about, let's say, task or whatever else. Even for videos, when I do video editing, I started this new thing in the last few videos where I break the video in chunks.
Ah.
In terms that I don't do anymore like only the first part on retrieving only the part that are relevant for the video, but I do a first chunk that I know that I finish this, if you want, like a chapter of the video,
Mm.
and they go end to end. I do the coloring, color grading, I do audio setup, I do everything, and that gave me so much satisfaction
Love
to
it.
go to the next one.
Yes.
And because it's a small chunk, instead of
Yes.
thinking about, oh, I need to edit 1 hour and a half, it's like pumping up. And the other thing that I've seen is I'm more fresh when I do the other things. So I have the same, let's say, passion and willingness to create something cool for the next chunk, like I did for the first one, because I see that the first one is super cool. I reached the level that I wanted to have. And these, let's say, small things trick my brain to give more every time that I started this thing.
I love it. Another thing that has helped me a lot is reducing decision fatigue.
Yeah.
So these days, I do not waste my thinking process on something that is irrelevant.
Mm.
Okay, so this is a little bit extreme. So that is why I eat salmon, brown rice, and veggies
Okay.
10 times a week. So
Okay.
twice a day on the weekdays, because I don't want to think when I go to grocery store. I don't want to run from aisle to aisle. What do I need to cook? This
Okay.
ingredient, that ingredient, right? So I just stick to salmon and brown rice, and it's healthier for me too.
Yeah.
Um, Another thing is outfits. Okay, before I'd be like, what color goes with what? I'll wear this today, that today. Now, if you see me on the conferences, meetings, I'm always wearing the jeans and black t-shirts.
Yeah.
So I have like 10 different black t-shirts and multiple blue jeans, basically. Right? So I don't even want to think about it if I can avoid it. So
Yeah.
that kind of reduces the decision fatigue in my
Of
brain.
course.
So this is from Steve Jobs. But yeah, I really like and I follow breaking a big thing into smaller chunks.
Yeah, I think is a good things that people can try out. Despite maybe at the beginning it might be daunting and you're not
Yeah.
making correctly because maybe you are too coarse grain or too fine grain.
Yeah.
Then in the long run that pans out. Also, let's start with something.
Sure.
Let's say that it was tough in your past,
Mhm.
something that you thought, okay, so that is it. So I cannot move forward. Do you have
Mhm.
like that kind of moment?
Yeah, I mean, this was like 10 years ago. So I was in 10, 11 years ago, I was in mainframe, right?
Mm.
And then I felt like I'm stuck, Luca. Like I would go to my job and I'd be like, I have to run the same JCL job again.
Yeah.
And there is a problem. I have to fix it. And then I could see some of my other friends were moving technology and stuff. And but I didn't come from a computer science background. I went to like a TRC college in India, not a great college, like not a elite college.
Mm.
I'm like, how do I get out of this rut? One hand, I was pretty comfortable, right? Because I knew mainframe and then I knew the people.
Mm.
So I was not getting fired or anything. But on the other hand, I'm like, man, is this it? Right? Is this how I'm gonna live rest of my life? Submitting one JCL jobs after another, or become a manager.
Mm.
So I could not see a way out. And also, like, I used to do a lot of analysis paralysis. Truly, I have done a lot of
Mm.
analysis. Okay, so the good thing is now I know a lot of the stuff, but the bad thing is I was also paralyzed by them. Um, that was one moment. The other moment also was, I was super skinny growing up and I was bullied. And I was tired of it, but I didn't know what to do because I was intimidated by the thought of going to gyms and stuff. Right? So those are the couple moments that I thought I was stuck. How about you, Luca?
Stuck several times. To be honest, there were some moments in life
Mm-hmm.
that were quite pivotal in general. Not only stuck, but pivotal totally.
Mm-hmm.
There are few things that I remember. So, like when I moved to London,
Yeah.
or better UK, because beginning I lived in Bristol. Um, it was a bit hard because let's say the level of English that I have today was it didn't exist back in the
Yeah,
days.
yeah.
12 years ago was pretty poor because at school I wasn't, let's say, very bright on English. Also, I always thought I will never use English. Why I need to study?
Right.
And in reality, here we are. But at the beginning it was tough because obviously I was living in Bristol for a few months. It was 6 months, 7 months, and there the accent is slightly different from London. In London, it's more international, so it's easier. But there were few occasion where I can't say I was bullied, but close to
Right.
on the way how I was pronouncing thing, because my English was bad. I mean, not even not now is amazing, but still people can understand me better. The other thing that was tough because I was just moving in a new country, first time that I lived outside Italy.
That's tough.
I didn't have family, I didn't have friends, I didn't have my partner, I didn't have anyone. It was
Right.
just me and me, myself, and nothing else. That wasn't easy. So I had literally to, let's say, took together a lot of my strength and trying to stay focused on the fact that I need to think about work. I need to think about understanding if I like this country to live, if I want to move definitely here, and definitely that everything fade out the moment that I moved from Bristol to London because at Bristol at the beginning I was asking myself, okay, so I probably need to take a course here because yeah, there were certain people I remember. I asked to this guy from Cornwall,
Yeah.
listen, can you write down what you're saying because I don't understand it. It's like literally the first 3 months with him, I couldn't understand the word. It was super tough. And then I moved to London, and I said, "How come? But I understand English now. What happened?" And people understand me. It was super funny. But that was definitely one topic because many people when they think, "Oh, would I move away from my country, wherever?" It's super complicated. You lived as well that moment, and you have all your family that you left behind. You have your friends that you left behind. You are you yourself and no one else that has to pull that together. And there are moments where obviously every country, despite you did like a big leap because from India to US is completely different from Italy to UK, but still there are a lot of differences compared to how I was living in Italy. What I was eating, what I was doing every day, the culture, like I'm seeing with my daughters now. I don't know the school system in UK.
Right.
I'm learning right now how it works. It's completely different from Italy where I grew up, so I cannot, let's say, help them to, let's say, navigate the complexity of the school. So I'm trying to do my best there, but moving countries I think is extremely difficult. And then especially I think that you have like the blessed that you are alone at the beginning and therefore you can make mistakes,
Yes.
and the curse that you are alone because in reality when the tough time will come, and they will come,
They will come.
uh, you are alone and you need to figure out how to, let's say, overcome that challenge.
I think, but it gives you a lot of strength.
At on.
Anyone who has done something commendable, they all had to go through this journey,
Yeah.
right? Like you could be staying in Italy and eating homemade pasta and meatballs and some classic
We don't have
Chianti.
meatballs.
Oh, you don't have meatballs?
Or better, we have, but not in the same way that Americans think that there are meatballs.
Okay, okay. Um, yeah, but see, now you are thriving.
Yeah.
And that would not have happened if you did not take the first step.
Yes.
Also, a lot of the times, I think Italian culture is similar to that way to Indian culture. It's very community oriented. So there are a lot of opinion and judgments, right? If you are leaving to a different country, there are a lot of like judgment. If you are switching jobs, right? My dad was like, "Why are you switching from mainframe? You know it, right? Just stay there, get promoted, or whatever, right?" But one thing I have realized now that I'm older, when you are trying to do something hard, talk to people who are closer to your goal, not the people who are closer to you.
Yeah.
For example, if I want to get a content advice, who am I going to talk to? My mom or Luca? right?
Your mom.
So I mean, the answer is obvious. Even
Yeah.
even though my mom is well-meaning,
Yeah.
but she doesn't know all the intricacies.
Yeah.
So to them, it's like a black hole filled with challenges. So that did take a little bit of strength, and also you cannot give power to everyone's opinions.
Yeah.
Some journey you have to do it. So
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I think we both are better for it because we took the step.
Oh, totally. I agree. There is one thing that you touch, I think, is very important here. When you were saying you need to speak with the people that you want to be more than the
Right.
people that you know, and that is there are two aspects I think we need to demystify here. The first one is the fear of talking with other people, maybe that are I don't know in better position than you
Yeah.
or whatever. That I think this, especially in tech, shouldn't exist for the reason being that if you see how we grew up, how the I coming from different industry, right? So
Right.
many people maybe starting in tech, they think that is similar to other industries, but the reality is the community aspect of tech
Mhm.
is what makes tech thrive
Right.
because if you
Agree.
see how much content is created, how many people are going to meetups, are going to that, despite your level, very often, I have mentees in AWS that are telling me, oh yeah, but you're creating that, you're creating this. I don't know if I will be able to do that. But the reality is there is always a you of 6 months ago, a year ago,
Yes.
that is looking for that content from your
Mhm.
perspective because your angle, your background is unique.
Yep.
And therefore, if you don't leverage that, is complicated.
Yeah.
And I believe it's extremely important to highlight the fact that, especially in tech, everyone is keen to help each other. And obviously, it's obvious that sometimes you find the person that is not most approachable in life, but
Of
that is
course.
everywhere. Okay,
Mhm.
so it's not just tech. I think this is one thing that I want to highlight. The second one that I believe is important is the fact that we often, as you said, the community aspect for family and friends, we're often judged by people that obviously maybe we love or we
Right.
are close to, and they believe that they think better for all the best for us. That would
Right.
be, I don't know, when you grow up, every let's say parent thinks about, oh, you need to be a doctor or you need to
Right.
be an engineer, wherever, because those are to a certain extent safe places, and people feel that you at the end of the day, if you reach that point, you're
Right.
done for your life.
Right.
But life is more complicated than that, and
Mhm.
I don't believe, to be honest, that we should let's say listen too much on what people thinks about us, what we
Right.
could become. Because I remember when I left school, there was the president of my school that basically told me, "Oh yeah, you are wasting your life, and
Mm.
you will not accomplish anything in your life." It was
Wow.
extremely harsh. I remember that phone call. It was like it was already a tough period for my life, but that was like super tough. Also because I spoke with him twice.
Mm.
And at 16, you understand that you believe on this stuff. He's a president of the
Yes.
school. So you assign the title to knowledge to people that can let's say tell you if you will become something or not. And
Mhm.
that is normal in everything. Like if I think about when I started, I remember in tech, and I was working in this small company in Italy. I was like earning like 600 euros per month because
Mm.
it wasn't. I was in apprenticeship,
Mm.
and it was like nothing. I couldn't even. I was living with my parents, therefore I was okay to survive. But I
Mhm.
remember for the first Mac that I wanted to buy, I had to do two jobs. So during the weekend, I was working in a fashion store in my hometown,
Wow.
and basically that was my more or less 6 months of working as an employee on two places in order to
Mhm.
buy a Mac and then allow me to start my career properly. Uh,
That's how you became so fashionable, Luca, because you
exactly.
used to work in the fashion
You know
store.
what? You're joking, but it's right.